We were in negotiations.
Investing in real estate.
They're winning, they're making money.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Real Estate Educators Podcast, where we provide the education you can build on. I am your host, Kevin Amolsch. This podcast is so exciting and something different than I've seen or done before because we don't only focus on real estate investors, but we focus on the content creation behind it. So we want to help both real estate investors and real estate influencers make more money. And if you like what you hear, which I'm sure you're going to today, please give me a 5-star review and share it with a friend. I have a friend with us today, Jeremy. I've known you for, it feels like 10 years. I'm not sure if it's quite that long, but it's been a long time.
No, it's actually been a little bit longer than that, man.
Has it been? Really?
I've been with these guys. I've been with Your Castle and associated with them about 13 years. And I remember Charles introducing us years and years ago, and it's just been a great relationship.
Yeah, cool. Let's get into it. I like the guests to give their own little intro here. So why don't you just give us a quick intro, who you are, how you got into real estate, and we'll just go from there.
You know, man, I'm just an average guy, right? I got out of college. I wasn't making any money. I grew up extreme poverty and trying to find a way. Sales was that vehicle, right? So I kind of willed myself into learn how to make calls and work with people and got some good mentorship along the way. I was in franchise development for a few years, really believed in that, loved it until you couldn't, right? Until franchisors started becoming more about the success of them and not the success of the little guy, right? And it started to kill me because one thing I could always believe in was the product. If you can't believe in the product, what are you selling? It just got to where, so I started really soul searching, looking around. I had a buddy that was an agent. I went and interviewed with a firm, and I always believed in real estate, right? It's helped me generate wealth for me and my family. And I had people along the way teach me about things like, equity and how to leverage and I started really believing it. Right. And so I thought, okay, what's something I believe in that I could sell? And it just kept leading back to real estate. Right. And I had some incredible people in my life, keep pointing me to it. And I aligned with a brokerage here in town about 15 years ago. Unfortunately, their value proposition over time I learned wasn't a good fit for me. So I went into a bunch of recruiters and I said, what's the one company in town you're having a hard time recruiting from? And they go, what do you mean? I'm like, well, people don't leave. They got to be happy, right? Somebody said you should meet Lon and Charles over at Your Castle Real Estate. And 13 years later, I'm here.
That's fantastic. So you were in sales pretty much your entire life, and franchise sales. I didn't even know that about you. Tell me about that. Like, what are the franchises you were slinging?
Man, I lucked out, dude. I was broke, and I don't have any family, so I'm sleeping on a buddy's couch. He's about 2 weeks from kicking me out. I have no income. I got a shitty bartending job where I drank away most of my income every night. And I was just soul searching, man. I went to a job fair, and it's the traditional stuff. It's like join the National Guard, sell insurance, right? Like solar, go sell, metal buildings or something. And I met a guy who became an amazing mentor to me named Bob Smith, and he had bought the rights to open Quiznos out in Texas. And I didn't even know what the hell a Quizno was, right? All I knew is that he'd give me every 2 weeks I'd get paid, and the more I worked, the more I'd make, right? And so, and it's fascinating. I remember him saying, like, well, how much do I make here? And he told me some low base salary. And he goes, but you can get unlimited commission. I go, what the hell does that mean? He goes, the more you sell, the more you make. And I go, so how much can I make? And he goes, all of it. And I was like, you're my
I'm going to
guy.
give you a number.
Yeah. So, we got lucky. We went into an untapped market in Houston, developed and got a bunch of Quiznos off the ground, sold it. I did some smaller products after that. Did some work with Maui Wowie smoothies. Helped launch a company called All About Honeymoons, which is a home-based travel agency when travel agencies just kind of went bust, went niche on that, and just had a blast, man. I really met a tremendous amount of people. What I found, the only people making money, honestly, were either you have the net worth to go buy a McDonald's or a Subway or something like that, or the hot thing at the time, whether it was coffee or whether it was educational opportunities. But the most people making money were the franchisor, right? Equipment got so expensive, marketing fees got so expensive, and the only people who could buy it was someone with a net worth. It wasn't the American dream anymore, right? Somebody with a couple $1 million in net worth, they already have the American dream, right? It wasn't the mom and pop who, saved for 20 years and decided they didn't want to work for somebody anymore. It was just the average guy, and you just couldn't make a buck, right? You take a small sandwich shop, a owner operator could be in there working 60, 70 hours a week and net 100 grand. That's a hard way for 100 grand, man.
You gotta pay money to buy this job.
Yeah.
to work for 100 grand. That's a lot of franchises are like that though, aren't they?
Oh, 100%. The only way to really make money is open a few, show proof of concept, show you're making money, have a good pro forma, and then wrap them up and sell them all. But I mean, dude, that's a lot of work, man. I mean, I made a lot of sandwiches, bro. Like, it sucks, man.
So you were working in this restaurant.
Yeah, at times. I mean, you develop, you sail, we're a small group, you do a little bit of everything, and so franchise owners need your help or they need training or, I mean, you're all they got. It was a lot. I was dating this girl one time and I remember coming home and she's like, God, I'm so tired of smelling vinegar and sandwich meat, and I'm like, hey,
It's
you tired,
gross.
tired of the lights being on, it kind of pays for it. So
All right. And then you got into real estate. Was there a certain person that you can attribute that to, or a book you read, or what attracted you to it?
what I did is I have a buddy named Ian Brown, and Ian and his wife Morgan are really close friends. They own a company called Sewer Lines Only, but at the time they were flipping houses, and I saw the success he was having, and I saw the lifestyle he was having. I saw the income they were making, and I just saw he was happy. And that was the main thing, man. I mean, like I wasn't happy. I was chasing commissions, and that's a
Right.
shitty place to be. I mean, it really is. When you're chasing commission, you're just trying to make a living, and it becomes less passionate, man. There was no passion in my life, and so I just saw him, and I thought, man, I kind of want that, right? And so we just sat down and we started talking one day, and he said, no matter what happens in my life, and now he's a very successful father and he runs multiple businesses. But I remember him telling me, like, dude, I can drive through Denver and see 30, 40 places that I made beautiful. And I
That's
was like,
awesome.
damn, that's cool, right? I mean, you're the same way, Kevin. I mean, you funded half of Denver. You know what I mean? Like, it's just I thought, man, I'm never gonna write a book. I'm never gonna develop some sort of technology thing, or my legacy is gonna be, especially in what I do now, helping people with careers, help people build their real estate career and play a role in that. And then that's perfectly fine, man. I find a huge passion in that. But it's been amazing. I mean, you get it, man. And I think a lot of people don't.
Mhm.
The type of people we get to associate with on a daily and weekly basis is amazing. I mean,
It
people,
really is
it,
like,
it, it's crazy. I look at a guy like Lon Welsh. I mean, it's just I get to surround myself with that guy. I get to learn from that guy. Guys like Charles Roberts, who has been an amazing friend and mentor for me my entire life. I mean, entire career in real estate. To sit across the table for that guy or break bread with that guy and learn and see the success they got there. I remember asking Lon one time, he had 100 doors. He just cracked 100 doors. I said, how the hell do you get 100 doors? And he said, as matter of fact as you can say it, he said 50 grand and a good credit score. I said, no freaking way. Right. And it's
wow.
true because he did it and he told me that story. I mean, be able to understand that. And you've seen it over the years, man. We're blessed, dude.
Yeah. And it's like someone like Lon, he doesn't need to work, like, right? He's so well off, and dude, he just keeps going. He's a deal guy, and he just wants to help more and more people.
I mean, and leave a legacy. I mean, I'll say this, and Lon, if you listen to this, when you listen to this, hope you don't get pissed. Lon's his wife just retired. She was an incredibly successful doctor. Lon is an exceptional investor. He runs, multiple companies. He's been just incredibly successful. But I go, why you do it? You got all the money you need, right? He said, imagine what I'm going to be able to do with all this money, like charity wise.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll never let me truly tell what that guy does in the community. But if people only knew, I mean, it's amazing. And to be able to do that, we were at Ronald McDonald House the other day, and we raised some money to buy new ovens for their kitchen, right? It's like 5 grand. Took us about 24 hours as a company. To have the ability to launch, just go, hey, I'll match it. I mean, throw an extra 5 grand, and the average human can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's like to be able to give back in that way is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm doing these interviews, so I'm either getting interviewed or given an interview, the whole idea of charity and your why comes up. Like, how do you have the motivation to keep going? Maybe if you're Lon and you're super successful and you don't have to work, or what if you're just getting started and you fall down, you make a bad deal, you lose a little bit of money. What makes you keep going? And it sounds like you're touching on that right here.
Yeah, drive is a crazy thing, isn't it? I mean, over the years, you've seen this a lot more than I have, but I've met a tremendous amount of agents over the years. Said, "Why'd you get your license?" "Oh, I want to flip a house." And they flip one, lose 5 grand, they're out of the game,
That's
right?
right.
And they're never going to try again. We ran into a girl one time. I introduced her to Lana. I said, "Lana, I want you to meet Julie. She's just finishing up her first flip." And he looked at her and he said, "How much money did you lose?" And she goes, "8
That's
grand." He goes, "Great, you'll make it up on the next one."
that's
Right?
right.
But it's
That's
those
right.
people that roll with the punches. I mean, drive's an incredible thing. It really is, and it's it's great to see. I mean, you can see it, I mean, you and I, we meet people every day. I on average interview, a couple thousand realtors a year, and by the time 20 minutes are up, I can tell you if they're going to make it or not. And
Okay,
so
let's go with let's dig into that, Jeremy.
please.
So I know your position, just to be clear for everyone that's listening, is basically to bring people into the company and groom them and help them be successful. So recruiter, if you want to call it that, but really it's like a mentor. So you're helping agents be successful.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's just like you operating on a client. If I came to you and I said, Kevin, I want to borrow money, and I want to fund this project, you're going to look at the project, say, is it going to give me a return? Does it make sense? Right? Is the time involved? It's the same thing here. The brokerage agent relationship is a partnership. And so, there's 40,000 agents in Denver right now. There's 20,000 haven't made a dollar. I mean, the failure rate in real estate's embarrassing. So what we do is we're trying to look for people we can partner with. Same way an investor will partner with their agent, or you'll partner with an agent or an investor on a deal, right? We want to make sure we have a chance of being successful. So I'm looking at things like, do you have a good work ethic? Do you have good motivation? Are you a good human? Right? Life's too short. I don't work with people who I don't find that bring me value. Right? Like it's better more than just a buck. But I'm also looking at what are your chances of success. Now, real estate's one of the last industries you can get into that doesn't care if you have a GED or a PhD. There's no, and you have a daughter, I have a daughter, there's no gender wage gap in real estate. And that's something I find incredibly attractive because it doesn't matter your nationality, your gender, any of those things. It matters, can you work hard? Are you coachable? Do you have a good attitude? And those things, then we start to layer it in. Do you have some income coming in, right? Do you have maybe a spouse that works? Do you have a background that's transferable skill set, right? If you're an introvert that's not analytical, who doesn't have income and you're shy, you're not going to make it, man. I mean, it's just, I mean, it takes money to start a business, and that's what real estate is. It's a business.
yeah, it's interesting you say that because when I was well, let me just back up. The interview I just did, this came up, and we are talking about being an introvert and how to empower them to network and meet new people. And so I'm a huge introvert. I have a networking meeting coming up in about a month that I'm scared to death to go to because I don't know anybody. And I'm just not good in that situation. But what I've learned is if I could become the expert, so
Yeah,
if I could do
100%,
this,
100%.
or if I could get in front of a room and teach a class or whatever, then people want to talk to me and that makes networking far easier. So I agree with you that being an introvert makes it more challenging, but that shouldn't stop a newer agent, right?
Not at all. But you got to look at all the factors, right? So if you're an introvert, no, you can overcome that. I mean, being a subject matter expert is powerful. It is powerful. We had a kid that was 18 that got his license a few years ago, came with us, started closing deals. And the number one thing he did is he learned the market. And no one cared they have at his age because they knew when he walked in the room, he could tell you every neighborhood, everything that's going on. But, let's be very honest too. You can't be an introvert who's broke with a no work ethic. If you're
That's
not
true.
willing, there's
Yeah.
all these factors, right? But no, you're right, man. I mean, get in front of a classroom is powerful. You've done it for years. I mean,
Yeah. You know
see,
why? It was Charles.
yeah,
Now, I did a few classes on my own and had some success, and I could see the benefit. But he's the one that said, you have to teach a class on your very specific niche, which is hard money. And he's like, I'll help you. Let's get a class in front of your castle. And it's a hard money class, 2 hours. I'm like, dude, this is too simple. Like, hard money is not even challenging. So, how do I? And he's like, you could do it. And then away we went. Later, we got it approved for CE credits. And
right.
I've
Yeah.
helped investors make millions of dollars because of that class. And it's because of Charles.
Yeah, but isn't that something that makes you? I mean, so there's a guy named Dan Fortune teaches a class, and part of it is what's your unique value proposition, right? Like, if
Mhm.
I run into you, what do you do? I'm a lender, nah, right? Or what do you do, Jerry? I'm a recruiter, no. And so, one of the things that gives me a lot of passion is helping people build a career. The end of the day, looking back and saying, somebody who maybe had a job making 40, $50,000, right? Capped out at where they are. Not a lot of people that believe in them in a situation, right? Maybe somebody who's went through a divorce and it's kind of a challenging situation. You can build this up to life-changing income and lifestyle. And it's the same for you, right? You could take somebody with X amount of dollars and show them how to turn that into generational wealth. Man, that is an honor to be able to play a role in that,
Oh,
right?
for
I
sure.
mean, it is an honor, right?
Love it.
Like, and that brings me so much passion. Like, it's really cool. Cause you know what the truth is? I had people do it to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah,
grew up
that's
small
a good
town
point. Like,
Texas, poor as shit. Like, you either, in my town, you either went in the military, you worked at a chemical plant, or you went to college, right? That was it. Like there wasn't any opportunity. And I thought, shit, I'm too little to work in a chemical plant, man. And this 712 is not for me, right? And I thought, did I have people believe in me, have people teach me? And it doesn't matter how old you are. Everybody needs mentorship.
Yeah. Yeah. No one's self-made.
Nope.
I hate hearing that. Like, I'm self-made. No, you're not, dude.
Yeah, somebody taught you
Somebody
how to
helped you.
read. Somebody, somebody changed your diapers one time. Like, none of us just came out of the womb making money.
Yeah, that's right. The Real Estate Educators Podcast is brought to you by Pine Financial Group. Pine Financial Group is a private lender specializing in value-add bridge lending for real estate investors. This is accomplished by raising private money from individual investors and lending that money out in short-term real estate loans. Pine operates one of the coolest public mortgage funds on the market because it brings consistency and security to your investment portfolio without giving up on returns. The fund pays its investors a flat 8% return with monthly distributions. There is a low minimum investment and no lockup period. That's right, you can request all of your money back at any time without any fees. Diversify your portfolio out of Wall Street and into Main Street with the Pine Financial Group Public Fund PFG Fund 5. Find out more at pinefinancialgroup.com. That's pinefinancialgroup.com. So I wanted to get back onto the agents and what makes a successful agent over a non-successful. And you've already touched on this, but I just want to dig a little bit deeper. So you said you can't be an introvert with no work ethic. Absolutely agree. I think you could be introvert or extrovert and be successful, but that work ethic is huge. Do you think that's the number one? Is that the number one thing you're looking for?
No, I don't. I mean, work ethic's great, but can you work smarter, not harder? Right? Like, there's a lot of people that go out and do work 80 hours a week on a crane somewhere, and then and work themselves to death just because they work super hard. Does that mean they're successful? I don't know.
That's a great point.
I think what it really comes down to is coming up with what you want. It's like my friend John Stegner and I talk about this a lot. It's like, what do you determine success? Right? Is my number one producer who made $1 million in GCI more successful than my number 38 agent who just wants to hang out with her kids and travel a lot and make 80,000? I think they're equally successful. Right. But how they get there is, it's doing the hard stuff, man. I mean, any business that has an 87% failure rate in the first year, you're a small percentage that makes it. And I think a lot of that is you gotta have a complete package. And that's what's tough. If I went out and opened a Subway, right, I'd have to know how to make sandwiches. I have to know how to market a little bit. They're doing all my marketing for me, but and run a P&L, keep my food costs down. But my jobs are very limited there. When you open a real estate business, you're the HR manager, you're the CEO, you're the salesperson, you're the accountant, you're the everything, right? It's hard to be good at everything. So I think the people that are most successful take coaching, know their highest dollar per hour, leverage everything else to somebody else, and focus on lead generation and servicing clients.
So that's a lot to unpack there. If we're going to try to help the listener that's maybe just getting started, is there like a book they should be reading, someone they should follow, study?
Yeah, I mean,
Follow you? I mean,
yeah,
what do we
please
do?
do. If you're an agent out there and you're struggling, you don't know what's going on, and Your Castle Real Estate has a great training program. So do a lot of brokerages in town. But I think too, I mean, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller is
Love it.
old as crap. He'll mention payphones and he'll mention CDs and stuff that aren't relevant, but the core is it still works. I mean, the Bible's old as shit and it still has some good info. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
right.
the point is, but it's mentorship, man. It really is. It's finding a mentor. It's finding somebody who's done it and can teach you. And that's a strange thing, Kevin. If you and I, for whatever reason, went and sold copiers, we would go in and meet the number one salesperson at our organization. They would take us under their wing. They would teach us that machine inside and out, and they would show us in the field. Right? That's what would happen. If we went and sold any product, your top 5% are your trainers and your coaches. And in real estate, it's the opposite. Because people that are making a lot of money are not taking you with them. They don't have time for that. So what you're getting is the bottom quartile showing you how to sell. And when that happens, you're learning the bad things. You're learning bad habits. I want to learn from people that have done it. If I got in hard money, you're the first call I make. If I decided I want to be in your field, you and Justin are the first people I'm calling because you're the best. And I'm going to say, dude, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just teach me, right? Because I'll do the work. I just need to be taught. And it's the same thing. I mean, you look at people with strong mentorship, organizations have strong leadership. That's what's going to do it. Because if you got a work ethic and drive and you're coachable, it's just implementation. It's like this business is like buying a dresser from IKEA, right? It's hard as shit. But if you've got the right instructions, you can do it. You got the right tools, you can put it together. If you just got a bunch of crap laying in a pile, you're never going to make it.
Yeah, I love this. So I was interviewed a few days ago for another podcast, and the question was very interesting. They said, "Well, if you lost your business and all of your money, you had $500 and a little apartment, what's the very first thing you would do?" So my answer was the first thing I would do is I'd spend that $500 and join some type of association that surrounded myself with real estate investors that were successful, because that's what I want to be as a successful real estate investor. If you want to be a successful real estate agent, surround yourself with successful agents like what you provide. But what you're saying is so true. It's finding the people to be around that's doing what you want to do, and I'm telling you, they will take you under their wing.
Oh man, absolutely. Because everybody's had help. I mean, that's why I think real estate teams have really just become a thing that's not going away. Right. Like I'm sitting in Jefferson Park right now at the New Era Group's office. They're the largest real estate team in Colorado. I mean, they're 90 people strong and they're not here for
Wow.
leads. They're here for community, right? They're here for leadership. They're here for, people that are passionate about this business because this can be a lonely business. I mean, for the average person who's an agent who gets up in the morning, goes and sits in front of their computer while their dog's barking and their kids just went to school and they're in their kitchen. This is a very difficult thing, but to surround yourself it's incredibly important.
Okay, well, let's get into the classes and the education that you guys provide because that's really where we like to focus at least some of the time together. So you guys do a bunch of classes. Let's just walk through that. Like, what do you guys do to give back to the community, the real estate community, and how has it benefited you?
Well, I'll break that into buckets. One of the things we've always been a big advocate for education and free education. There's never been a class at your cost of real estate we've charged for. In fact, we lose money on education. We've taught ninja selling, Brian Buffini, all these different sales systems that real estate agents take to learn this business. We've come out of pocket for that, right? Keller Williams teaches the class, and they're a great brokerage. They've got thousands of agents paying $1,000 a pop for a class called Bold, right? And we just take a different approach. But on our core, we were an investor company when we started. And so most agents they don't have a 401k. We don't have a real estate pension, right? So teaching people how to invest in real estate is something that we're very passionate about because they can share that to their clients and their family and so on and so on. So we've got traditional agent training how to do the business. We've got marketing and that sort of education, and then market information on training what's happening in the market. Like this maybe gets to you. I hate it when I'm sitting at home and I click the news on in the morning, which I rarely watch, but if for some reason it mysteriously pops up on my TV, I'll see like some idiot pop up and say, your Denver real estate report, right? And he'll go, this many homes on market, this many days on market, this average price. And you know what? It doesn't mean crap.
That's
I live in Wheat Ridge. Like those numbers are different, man. If you're an income buyer or if you're a condo buyer, all those things, it all changes the game. But we talk about this generic crap. So we teach a lot on the market on a micro level. I mean,
yeah,
Colorado Springs and Boulder are two different places. Why would we say they're the same? You know what I mean? Wash Park and Jefferson Park, different places, right?
yeah.
But we also teach a lot on how to invest, which man. I mean, you've been a fixture on our training calendar for years, right? And that's what we do. We're not going to sit around and pretend that we're the subject matter experts on everything. I mean, Lon Welsh knows the market more than anybody in Colorado. But with hard money, I want you in there, right? We're talking sewer scopes. I want Ian from Sewer Lens Only. We're talking, radon. I want the guy Colorado whatever choice radon. I want the experts to come in because we're not so naive to think we know everything. Right? You bring
Yeah, and
in
you're a huge piece of this calendar. I know I mean, a lot of that you have your team help you with, but you're not up there teaching, right? This is a good point that you're bringing in. So you're building your database and recruiting agents and doing all of the things that you should be doing with other people providing the content for you.
yeah, absolutely, and it could be a win for everybody, right?
It's a win for everybody.
Like, if it's funny. We had a class once. I remember right when I started with Lon and Charles, and I was like, I'll fill this class up, and I had real estate trends or something, and we maybe had 3 agents show up, right? And I was like, gosh, man, I really screwed up. How can we not fill this room? It turned out to be an amazing conversation, and we ended up working with some amazing guy, right? Like, there's a void in this market where everything's generic. I mean, you look at some of my big competitors out there, great, amazing real estate companies, but Coldwell Banker's training's coming out of Jersey. How the hell
Yeah,
does some guy in Jersey know what's going on in Colorado? They don't.
it's interesting. I didn't
So
know
it's
that.
generic. It becomes very generic. I mean, and it's kind of silly. So we can look at things like in real time, in real life, changes in the market. What's happening. I mean, it's like I remember when COVID hit, I went to my leadership team. I'm like, we need to be the voice of reason here. right? So we were doing daily, weekly, monthly webinars, just saying, this is what's really going on. This is how we get through it, right? We're getting thousands of people in because we were bringing value. And that's what
Yeah.
it really boils down to, is bringing value. I mean, I met with a kid the other day, great young guy, had sold a software company. He's got a couple hundred grand in the bank. He's like, I just want to invest. I don't want to go back to work. He's in a great position, right? And he's perfect for our company, right? Everything that we do. But I remember telling him, I go, look, wherever you end up going, one of the things I want you to remember is our classes are free. So even if you don't join here, you come to our classes, because you learning how to invest isn't going to happen at Remax. Not unless you get the right mentor. That's just not their model. They don't talk cap rates. They don't talk ARV, right? Like, and really sit down with this kid, and somebody give him some room and say, look, you got one shot to spend 500 grand, build an amazing portfolio, and cash out and retire one day. Like, this is how cash flow works, all those things. So it's just very positive to speak that language and play a role in that, right? And so you see it, I mean, top down, and I look at your training calendar too, man. I mean, the best organizations out there are providing free content and value. And then, and the money on the back end will come.
Yeah, we love it. There's nothing better than getting like a handwritten note. Sometimes we get these in the mail, like,
Oh
hey,
man.
because of what you're training or whatever, I've made this amount of money, it changed my life. A whole different trajectory because of what we did for them. And gosh, that feels great.
Well, I mean, think about it, Kevin. This probably happened to you. And I'll say some names out there, and I hope it doesn't like piss anybody off. But like, I meet with people back in the day, and they would be like, "Yeah, I just went to Kiyosaki's program. I spent 40, 50, $60,000, and now I'm going to do all this no money down investing." We're like, "What? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna what?
You
You
have to
know?"
do no money down because you ain't got no more
Yeah, I'm
money.
like, "How much money do you have? Let's go buy a property. Let's do this." "Oh, we don't have any
Yeah.
cash." I'm like, "Damn," like,
It's all on
in
credit
any
cards.
industry where
So
you're talking lots of money, I mean, it's like, there are people that do very successful wholesaling, and there are people that sell very successful, I mean, unsuccessful wholesaling classes, right? Like,
yeah.
so I don't know. And you're right, man, about those handwritten notes thing. I spoke at one of my favorite things in the world. I spoke at a conference a few years ago, and somebody I admire sent me a handwritten note. And I was more touched by that than I was a gift card. I mean, it's hanging in my office. It's like something, it's crazy. So those touches mean a lot.
Oh yeah. Way more than the paycheck or the commission. That
100%.
yeah. Once you can start focusing on the value you provide, and you're fantastic at this, that's when the money starts rolling in. I learned that the hard way.
Oh
When I was
man.
broke, and just like you, man. Every commission was so vital just to pay rent, right? And once I focus on my client's success, I was like, ooh,
Oh
it's
man,
just
it's
started
different.
coming in.
Hey, I'll tell you something, Kevin. This is a story that's true and it's real, and it's a little embarrassing, to be honest with you. I was part of a franchise, and we were having a hard time, and I was the sales department. And franchise fees were paying the bills. I mean, that was paying the rent, keeping the lights on, it's paying all my buddies' salaries. Only about 6 of us. And without those franchise fees early on, we weren't going to make it. And I sold a guy a franchise that I shouldn't have.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I pushed him. I was shitty, and I'm not a traditional salesperson, man. I don't have that gene to, but I knew my back was against the wall, and I did it. And he spent about $75,000. And I'm not saying the only, I mean, that's a significant amount of money. And he failed. And I tracked him down about 5 years later, and I called him and I said, look, this keeps me up at night. Like, this is the one sale of my entire career that I'm sick about. Like, I'm embarrassed and I'm sick. And like, I'm like, dude, I don't have an extra 75 grand at the time, and I'm like, but I'd like to do something for you. Is there something I can do to like make this up for you? And he's like, I'm a big boy. I know what I'm doing. He's like, yeah, you got a little pushy at the end. He goes, but it was my choice. But and maybe I did that to make myself feel better, but at the same time, man, I just promised myself from that day, I'm like, I will never do that again.
Me either. I would
It's
never
not
do
a
that again.
fit, because I believe in what I do, right? Like, same with you, man. I saw an email the other day about a fund you have going on. I read it, and you're like, we guarantee this return. I know if I gave you cash, I'm getting that return. I know I am, because I know you, right? I know what you stand for. And I think if somebody comes and partners with me over here and you're willing to work, if you fail, don't blame me, because I'll go to bat for you. Like, we'll go to work every day, you know. But I have that passion. I love it, man.
Yeah, you do have it. You could just feel it right now as we're chatting. How much passion you have for this business and for helping other people. So let me ask you this, Jeremy. What has real estate done for you?
Oh man. I mean, I'm gonna I might get a little emotional on this, Kevin. I'll be honest with you, because I've gone through, life changes, man. You go through some stuff, and I went through some personal stuff a couple years ago, and that almost killed me. And if it wasn't for the people I have in my life, if it wasn't for the people I surround myself with, I don't know what I would have done, man. I mean it, like the love and outreach, the relationships I have. I mean, learning how to manage money, right? Learning how to put my money to work, and learning how to put people in the right place. I think for me, when I got in, one of the things I realized is I'm never going to be spreadsheet guy, right? Like I'm never going to be the market expert. I'm never going to be the greatest salesman, but what I can be is an amazing connector. And so if I can just meet all the really, really good people in this industry and be a connector, right? And be able to say, this is the best hard money guy, this is the best this is the best this, and see other people's success along the way. It just changed my life. It changed my entire mentality. I'm a better father because of the people I have around me. I'm a better significant other to my girlfriend. I'm a better leader to my team. And all that's because just the people I've been around. I've never been in an industry like this, right? Like any other sales organization, you fight and you claw to beat everybody, right? And here we celebrate success in so many ways, man. It changes you. It really does.
Yeah, it's like I think of it like almost like a family at times where there's healthy competition. Like you want to outperform
Of
your
course.
buddy, right? And they want to outperform you, but you still want to lift them up also. Like very much like a buddy on the basketball court growing up, or a brother that you're playing a video game
Well,
with, you
dude,
know?
look at, I don't want to get too personal, but look at Charles. I mean, that's a prime example. That guy had touched so many people and built so many good relationships. And when tragedy struck him, I saw a property manager go manage his property for free.
Yep.
Right? I saw people going over there and helping do maintenance on his house. I saw, anything they could, you included, man. I mean, and you and your team especially. And it was, it's those kind of things. And if you look, that's why I think there's such a passion for this industry, because that guy walked around town for years telling people, this is how you do it. If something were to happen to you, are your kids protected? Are your wife protected? And he did it,
Mhm.
and so that's powerful, man. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
he
community.
touched my life, no question about
Oh,
it.
me too, brother. Me too. But we're lucky, man. Real estate's just made my life. I couldn't imagine being in another industry. I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, me too. I feel the exact same. We love having you in town, man, and I feel so lucky, like to meet people like you. And the Denver community, the investor community, is so open and giving and caring and welcoming. I found that in other parts of the country also. That just the real estate community is really, really a good community.
Oh man, and you're all over the place. Do you remember this though? I think one of the things that changed me a lot. Me, you, I think Aaron Lebovic, maybe Charles. We were. It was Charles. Yeah, we were at one of I don't think it was ICOR. We were at one of the big things. It might have been the Investor Success Summit, and we're kind of standing in the back, and there were a couple hundred people there, maybe 400 people there, right? And I'd asked a question. I said, in this group right here of 400 people, what percentage do you think have done an investor deal or will do an investor deal? Right. And this was very powerful to me. I don't know if you ever remember this at all.
I
And I
don't.
looked at, and you spit out a number, you're like 10%. And I go 40 out of 400. And then it went to Charles, and Charles was like, 20%. Aaron spit out a number. And I looked at Charles and I go, why is it so low? Right? Like, here's all this information you're providing. The Investor Success Summit is brilliant about educating new investors. And Charles looked at me, matter of fact, and he goes, that's why we're here, is to get that number up.
Yeah,
Right. And I thought, shit, yeah, it is. Like that's
yeah,
pretty cool, man. So I don't know. I always remember that moment.
dude, that's awesome. All right, man, we're gonna wrap it up here. Is there any other advice or anything you want to share before we close out? Newer
Man,
investors, new agents.
I,
What's some words of wisdom?
I tell you, man, just be around the people that are doing stuff. Trust the people around you, right? Like if you're not getting the answers, go find it. Call Kevin. He knows everybody in town. Call me. If there's something you need to do, shit. If you wanted to buy your first tiny house, we'll find somebody who knows what they're
That's right.
doing. And just and it's like that old saying. It says hire slow, fire fast, right? And I take that in every aspect of my life. If I'm joining a new gym and it's not working, I'm out of there. If I have a new coach and it's not working, I'm out of there. Right. But I'm going to take my time and find the right people. And then I'm going to make sure my money's being spent well. So leverage people around you. And you couldn't ask for better from this podcast, but I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, great feedback, great advice. How do we find out about the Your Castle class schedule?
Yourcastle.com, click on the classes at the top. It'll bring all of our classes up. We're free. They're open to anybody, whether you're an investor, whether you're an agent, whether you're just somebody that, can't get out of the house, you're more than welcome to come hang out with us. We got crappy coffee and usually a big dose of me. So
Do you guys do anything online? Because there's
we
going to be
do. Yeah.
quite a
I've
bit
got
of our audience is not in
Yeah,
town.
we've got a great content library that's under recorded classes, and then we do live stream a lot now. I mean, the market's changed so much, so try to
Yeah,
keep stuff pretty fresh. And we do a lot of stuff with our vendors and third party partners as well.
cool. And if I am in Denver, Colorado Springs, somewhere where you could help me, and I'm looking for a new home to hang my license, how do I reach you?
Just go to our website, yourcastle.com, and click on careers. There's a little button that'll drive you straight to me, and we'll be having a cocktail or a coffee within 24, 36 hours.
That sounds great, man. All right. I appreciate everything. We'll catch you on the next one, Jeremy.
Good to see you, my man. Appreciate you.
All right. See ya. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did, please be sure to follow and leave us a review. Oh yeah, and tell a friend.